Hi, I'm Jesse Haller, product developer for Orvis. One of the most important parts of European nymphing technique is getting your flies to the strike zone. There are three main ways to get your flies to the strike zone. One is your fly weight, the other tippet diameter, and the third is how your flies enter the water. Selecting the correct fly weight can be a little bit of a trial and error process, and as you can see, there's different currents and depths just right here in front of me. You'll usually start a little too heavy and you'll work your way backwards, but sometimes you'll be a little bit too light as well. It's very useful to have several different weights of patterns and sizes in your fly box. That'll help you adjust your weight for each specific fishing scenario you find yourself in. I typically fish 2 flies, but you can fish 3 in some areas, or just 1, depending on what fishing scenario you find yourself in. 2 is a good place to start. I usually put my heaviest fly on the point, which is the furthest away from my fly rod, and then I put a second fly, usually slightly lighter, about 20 inches up the leader. Some people may choose to add split shot to their leader. I personally don't, but it is a useful way to just add a little bit more weight. Typically, I connect that slightly between your 2 flies if needed. Often overlooked is tippet diameter when trying to get your flies to the bottom. A 4x piece of tippet will sink much slower than a 6x piece of tippet. I often recommend people who are just getting started use 4 or 5x just to get comfortable with the technique. One way to aid your sink rate is to adjust how you're casting. If you can add just a little bit of slack in your cast, it'll help your flies sink faster. A tuck cast will help you get your flies down just a little bit faster. It's very much like a traditional cast, except you stop your rod tip just a little bit higher, and that'll help add a little bit of slack and allow your flies to parachute down to the water. When finding the right amount of weight, you'll notice that as your flies get down to the bottom, occasionally they'll tick just slightly along the bottom. This will resonate through your siding material. If you're too light, your flies will swoosh out down below your rod tip, and if you're too heavy, you'll get snagged more often. So when you're out trying this technique yourself, you might try to remember those 3 particular things: fly weight, tippet diameter, and how your flies into the water to help aid you to get your flies to the strike zone faster.